All right, boys and girls, I wanted to talk to you about reading because, as you can see here, one is growth mindset activity, and most of you have been doing fairly well on this, but let's take a look really fast. Once again, when you have that blue link there, if it pops up in a box and it's too small for you, you can just click the blue link. And then mine is opening nice and large now. But there's another way to zoom in, boys and girls, on the magnifying glass. If you don't want it quite 100%, you can also just click zoom in. All right, so this is day 4. And on day 4, the lesson is mistakes and famous failures. So we all learn from our mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes. That's part of what makes us human. It's part of what makes us, I don't know. I just think it makes us interesting and it helps us learn. Have you ever been afraid to make a mistake? A lot of people feel that way. Mistakes aren't always a bad thing, they actually help our brain learn. We learn about famous people all the time. They are well known for their successes, but what we don't always hear are about their failures. So, if you continue reading this, boys and girls, you'll read about some very interesting people: Walt Disney, Michael Jordan, J.K. Rowling, Albert Einstein, and Oprah Winfrey. And then your reflection for the day is which person's story surprised you most, and then tell me why. Remember when it says type here in a box? The first thing you're going to do is erase those words and type your answer. All right, boys and girls. The second question is the next time you fail or make a mistake, what could you tell yourself? And that is your growth mindset activity for today. And I'm going to go back to dashboard, back to homeroom. Hopefully you can just hit the back arrow, but if you can't, remember you can always go this way. Go back to Thursday, scroll all the way down to reading, and I wanted to point out that the story you've been reading this week, you're going to have a test over, but I don't want you to worry because it's only going to be 10 questions. And as long as you've been reading carefully all week, I don't think you're going to have any problems. Once again, you can click on those blue letters to make it nice and large. This print is a little small for me, so I'm going to go up here to the magnifying glass, and 100% is just about right. But just to make sure we can all read it together. Oops, that's a little too big. Okay, so we can do this. So the title of our story is First Day of School. Josh checked the mirror one more time. A piece of hair near the back of his head was sticking up. He'd been working on getting it to stay down all morning, but he wasn't having any luck. Mom, we shouldn't have gotten my hair cut the day before school starts. I can't control it. He ran his hand under the water and pressed his wet fingers on the stubborn locks. Have you ever had a day when your hair was being stubborn? I know I have. It looks fine, kind of like a cute porcupine, said his mother at the bathroom door. She bounced his baby sister on her hip, trying to help her to keep her happy. I don't want to look like a porcupine the first day of school. He sighed and gave up. Come and eat breakfast before it gets cold. I made oatmeal. I'm going to miss her, Josh said, smiling at his sister. He'd spent the summer playing with her. It would be weird to have to leave her all day. What if she forgets me? Maybe you have a younger brother or sister that you won't like to leave if you have to come back to school. She won't. His mom tousled the top of his head when he passed her, messing it up even more. Maybe your mom or dad or grandpa or someone has tousled your hair before. It's just when they put their hand up in your hair and kind of move it back and forth. Josh sat at the table and tried to eat some of the oatmeal his mom set out, but his stomach was too jumpy. He was going into the fourth grade. It was kind of a big deal. He was a lot older now. Things would be different. Remember, Josiah is coming to pick me up. He took a small swallow of orange juice. I know. You don't need me walking you to school this year. You already told me. His mom put the baby into her high chair and dropped a handful of cereal on the tray. Just be careful and don't talk to strangers, finished Josh with a grin. I bet your moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas tell you things like that to help you remember things when you hear them so often you know what they're going to say before they say it. His mom had been giving him the same speech all summer. The doorbell rang. Any guesses who it is? Let's make an inference. I bet it's Josiah. Josh leapt up from the table and hurried to the door. His friend Josiah from 2 doors down stood on the front porch waiting. Even though it was already hot outside, Josiah had on pants and a long sleeved shirt. New school clothes? Josh asked, smiling. He noticed that Josiah had gotten a haircut too, only his wasn't sticking up. Got them yesterday, and I probably should have worn shorts, he said, eyeing Josh's summer outfit with a little jealousy. See you later, Mom. Josh grabbed his backpack from the hook by the door. Have a good day, boys, she said, kissing Josh on the cheek and patting Josiah on the shoulder. The boys headed down the sidewalk. Josh felt way more independent. Last year, both their moms walked them to school. It was nice to do it themselves. 2 blocks down, they met up with more kids heading to school. Everyone looked their best. The summer dirt had been scrubbed off, new clothes brought, and nearly everyone had shorter hair. They enjoyed the short walk into the school or to the school. Everyone was laughing and talking about summer vacation. For a few minutes of all Josh's nerves, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back and try that again. For a few minutes, all of Josh's nervous feelings had disappeared. Then they turned the corner and the school loomed in front of them. Buses lined the street in front. Parents chatted by the fence, watching their children meet and greet old friends. I'm not ready for this, Josh said to Josiah. Tests, reading, writing. Why can't summer last forever? Just then, Mr. Harrison, the gym teacher, passed them. He shouted over his shoulder, Soccer game on the left field. You boys coming? Josh and Josiah stared at each other. Last year, they weren't allowed on the left field. They took off running with the other kids. The last 15 minutes before the bell rang, they played soccer with a bunch of older kids, or other kids. When the bell rang, everyone gathered their backpacks and headed to the doors. Josh had a smile on his face. This is going to be a good year. So, boys and girls, this is the day you do your comprehension questions. And the nice thing about the comprehensions questions is that many of them will be similar to what you'll see on the test tomorrow. So, what is the main idea of the passage? Remember, the main idea is what the passage is mostly about. Try to use a complete sentence and make sure you use evidence from the text to answer the following questions. So, what is the main idea of the text? If I go back to the text, I can see the title is First Day of School. So, that's a pretty big clue of the main idea. We know that it's mostly about Josh, and you can make a sentence out of that. This story is about Josh's first day of which grade? Fourth grade. So the next question is identify 3 details that support the main idea. So how do we know it's Josh's first day of school? How do we know he's going into 4th grade? Give me some text evidence. Go back to the story. Look at the story again, and you can find that. What does Josh's mom compare his hair to? Why do you think she made this connection? The author says that Josh's stomach was too jumpy to eat his oatmeal. What does she mean by this? Cite examples, that means give examples from the text that show Josh is nervous for school to begin. There are some clue words. Some of them may be even mentioned in earlier questions that show he's nervous. And Josh had a smile on his face at the end of the passage. Why do you think his feelings about school changed? Boys and girls, if you do all of these questions, you do them well, you make sure you're reading the passage carefully, I think you'll do just fine on tomorrow's test.